There is a strange thing that happens to men around 55. They look back at 30 years of work, the promotions, the deadlines, the sacrifices, and they finally see it clearly. Not the way the company described it, not the way ambition described it, the way it actually was. Today, 6 truths about work that men almost never see while they are living them. And the 6th one is the hardest to accept, because it is the one that most men were praised for their entire careers. Here is why this matters now and not later. If you are still working, seeing these truths early can change how you spend your remaining working years. And if you have already stepped away, these truths explain feelings you may have never been able to name. As you listen, notice which of these you already suspected but never said out loud. If you value honest, practical conversations about work, purpose, and building a stronger second half of life, subscribe to Second Chapter Men. That is exactly what this channel is for. The first truth: the company was never going to love you back. Many men spent decades treating their employer like a relationship. Loyalty, sacrifice, canceled vacations, missed dinners, and somewhere deep down they expected the loyalty to be returned. Then comes the restructuring, the new manager, the early retirement package delivered with a smile, and the truth lands. It was never a relationship. It was a transaction. That does not make the company evil. It makes it a company. The mistake was never working hard. Hard work is honorable. The mistake was giving a transaction the devotion that belonged to people. Here is the question worth asking, whatever your age. If your job ended next month, which sacrifices of the last 10 years would still feel worth it? Whatever survives that question was real. Everything else was rent paid to an illusion. The second truth is more personal, because it is not about the company. It is about the mirror. Truth number 2. Your title was renting your identity. For decades, the first question at every dinner party was the same. What do you do? And the answer felt like an identity. Manager, engineer, owner, foreman, director. Many men wore the title so long they forgot it was a uniform, not skin. Then the title goes away. Retirement, layoff, a business sold, and a man discovers how much of himself was leaning on those few words. This is why the first year after leaving work can feel like grief. It is not the paycheck most men miss first. It is the answer to that question at the dinner party. The men who handle this best are the ones who start building an answer that has nothing to do with employment before they need it. So try answering this today in one sentence without mentioning your job. Who are you? If the sentence comes hard, that is not a failure. That is the assignment. The third truth explains why so many men never stopped to ask these questions earlier. There was no time. And that was not an accident. Truth number 3. Busyness was hiding the real questions. Look back honestly at the busiest years. The packed calendar, the constant urgency, always needed, always moving. It felt like importance. But busyness has a second function that few men see while it is happening. It is the most respectable way ever invented to avoid your own life. A man who is slammed at work never has to ask whether his marriage has gone quiet. Never has to feel the distance growing with his kids. Never has to wonder what he actually wants. The schedule answers everything before the heart can speak up. Many men only meet their unasked questions when the busyness stops, all of them, at once, in a silent house. Better to meet them one at a time, on your terms. Here is one way to start. This week, sit for 10 minutes with no phone, no task, no noise. Whatever thought shows up first and makes you uncomfortable, that is probably the question busyness has been protecting you from. The fourth truth is about money, but not the way most financial advice talks about it. Truth number 4. You were not paid in money. You were paid in time, your own. Every paycheck was a trade. Hours of your one life, exchanged for numbers in an account. The trade itself is fair. Everyone makes it. What men see too late is the exchange rate. The overtime that paid for a slightly better car, but cost the season of a son's games. The weekend work that impressed a boss who left 2 years later, but missed the years a daughter still wanted to talk. None of those men were wrong to provide. Providing is love in action. But somewhere past enough, many men kept trading time for money out of habit, long after the family needed the money more than they needed the man. If you are still working, this is the truth with the most power left in it. Ask it plainly. Past this point, what am I actually buying with my extra hours? and what is it costing? The fifth truth is the one that shows up at retirement parties, and it surprises almost everyone. Truth number 5. The work disappears. The people remain. Think of a man's proudest projects, the systems he built, the deals he closed, the problems he solved. Within a few years of his leaving, almost all of it is replaced, rewritten, or forgotten. That can sound depressing. It is actually liberating, because it reveals what was permanent all along. Nobody at a retirement dinner talks about the quarterly reports. They talk about the man, the one who defended his crew, the one who taught the new guy without making him feel small, the one who kept his word when it was expensive. Decades later, that is the part still standing. The work was the setting. The people were the story. And here is the practical side. Those work friendships do not have to end when the job does, but they will, unless someone acts. Most men wait for the other man to call first. Be the one who calls. And that brings us to the sixth truth, the hardest one, because everyone called it dedication. Truth number 6. For many men, work was not just a living, it was a hiding place. This is the truth that connects all the others. The loyalty, the title, the busyness, the extra hours. For a lot of men, they added up to something no one ever said out loud. Work was where a man could feel competent, needed, and in control, while the harder parts of life waited outside the office door. And the world applauded it. Provider, dedicated, committed. No one applauds a man for sitting in a difficult conversation with his wife. There is no bonus for rebuilding a distant friendship. So the hours flowed to where the applause was. Then the work ends, and a man stands in front of everything that waited. Here is the hope in this, and it is real. The same discipline that built a career can rebuild everything else. Men who spent 30 years showing up, solving problems, and keeping commitments already have every skill the second chapter requires. The only change is the project. You are the project now. The marriage is the project. The friendships, the health, the purpose. That is the new job site. And this time, the results are actually yours to keep. So here is what these 6 truths add up to. Work was never the enemy. It fed families, built skills, gave structure to decades. But it made one quiet promise it could never keep, that being a good worker was the same thing as building a good life. It never was. The good news is that the second half of life gives every man a chance to correct the exchange rate, to move his best hours toward the things that never get restructured, never get replaced, and never hand him a package with a smile. If you are still working, start the correction now. If you are done working, the correction is the work. If this video put words on something you have felt for years, subscribe to Second Chapter Men. There is a new conversation like this every week. And in the comments, tell us, which of these 6 truths did you see too late, or see just in time? Your story might be the one another man needs today.